later on during a ritual, because I was in a lot of different ritual ceremonies taken to them in San Francisco and in well, San Francisco, all of California and LA, and then also in Nevada. And he showed up once at a ritual, and of course this was after I met him. And he showed up once at a ritual because that was a human ritual, and and it was I don't know what I can say. Okay, so there were humans that were being the sacrifice. Okay, so but there were reptilians around, and I could see after during a sacrifice that the reptilian that was standing at the end of the stone slab would almost like, I could see in my mind's eye, maybe psychically, that he was taking in energy. So I do believe that's part of that adrenal, that loosh energy that they take. So that's what that was. Well, I was in line with the same white dress that I think that was going to be part of that sacrifice, and Ayano shows up and pretends to be one of them, comes in a robe and takes me by the arm and leads me off and leads me down these underground caverns. And then next thing I know, he clicks something and we're on board a ship. So he was my protector, and he told me what his name was Ayano. I could call him that, I should say. That's not his name. His name is much longer and weird.
Miesha, do you think that meeting someone and having kids, how did that affect what was going on in your life? Was it the beginning of you getting away from it?
Not really, because see, unfortunately, the man that they had was a handler, my husband was a handler. And maybe he didn't know he was a handler because he was sick. He was an alcoholic. And so he was probably used. He was an abuser, of course, too. Extreme abuser. So I never really got out of it. I was just more handy, I think. So yeah, I never per se got out of anything until 2000 and year 2000.
All right, well, let's go back to your 30s then. What happened in the rest of your 30s?
Well, I had 2 children, and then really, okay, well, I'll go into some of my life experiences. That's really mainly what I remember. The MK Ultra definitely came into play a little later again, but this was the MyLab, which is also really, and MyLab, MK Ultra, really, they're the same thing. They're using you in different ways. So, okay, so I was an interfacer. So I woke up one time, walking down a hallway. On this side was polished, kind of black, dark, not black, but gray wall that was like not a wall, like a mountain. And this side had the same thing, but it had cubicles from time to time. So the cubicles I know are some of the places where I was interrogated. And so at this particular time, as I was walking down, there were people in military uniforms and lab coats passing, and they looked at me, but they didn't look at what was next to me. And I knew there was a reptilian next to me because I know reptilians. I've had experience with them. I can know their smell. And so I asked him telepathically, why do they not look at you? They look at me. And he said, he sent me back telepathically as well as imagery that they know this is our level. They must honor us. And they're not allowed to look in our eyes. And so he shows me this imagery of this soldier, one soldier being arrested because he looked in his direction, because that was a no-no. And another one who was going like screaming like he was crazy had looked in his eyes. because they're very, very hypnotic eyes and mind control kind of thing. Another experience, I was in a room with a reptilian standing at the door. And I'm going to say these were different than the ones that were in the rituals. The ones that in the rituals were a darker color. They were bigger. This one was more svelte, shall we say. He kind of looked like he might be a soldier, though. And I said to him telepathically, "Why are you invading our planet? What did we do to you?" And he said telepathically, "You are the invaders. We are not the invaders. We were here long before you." Then he shows me this imagery of these dinosaurs and prehistorics, and they're all running from all these comets that are coming down from everywhere. And he tells me those comets are coming from, that are being directed to them by the enemy. And this is an Earth extinction event. And we who were more intelligent went into the inner Earth and have evolved to who you see before you. So, and then there's just one more I want to share. There's some other ones, but it was always interrogations. I would be having interrogations. This one particular time, I was being interrogated and it was always lieutenant colonel or above, always lieutenant colonel and above. And he was screaming at me and cussing at me and saying they knew about Ayano. Of course, they didn't say Ayano's name. They just said, "We know about the reptoids. We know you've talked to him. We know you're in this ship. Tell us. And they kept trying to get me to talk about it. And I wouldn't. And whether it was because, see, by then they didn't have the altars. I've been working since 1980 on integrating my altars. So my altars had already been integrated by 89, 90, 91. And so this all was happening through, well, up into about 94 or 5. So anyway, they gave me this liquid to force this liquid down me, which was very yellow and very thick. And then they brought in an alien, a reptilian, a reptoid, I should say. And he looked into my eyes and kind of did a mind melt. He continued with this interrogation while this connection was going on. And I could see, as he asked me the question, I could see the answers come up, and it was like as if they were sucked right out of my brain. It was the strangest feeling. So that I knew they might have got the information. And I did find out that they did actually come after, but because they're of their own implant that they put in my ocular years before, they knew that the shadow government came after them, and so they got away. And then the last experience involves my kid. So throughout this whole experience, I'm having ET contact. My kids are having ET contact. We're still seeing our willowy one. But then now and then we have different grays. So I know they're the underground, dumb gray, deep underground military grays. I wake up and I'm in an elevator and we're going down. And in front of me is a man in a uniform and a black fatigues. He's got a gun and he's just staring into nothing. Like he doesn't blink or anything. When the elevator stops, it's like he clicks on now. So I do believe there's a whole lot of mind control and alters going on with all the workers too. So he clicks on. He starts pulling us out. Evidently, somebody from the back is pushing us forward, and he split us into two groups. The group I was split into were people in uniforms and lab coats. The other group was going to these tall beige grays. They were not gray. They were beige gray. They were very tall, probably at least over 6 feet tall, and in that group, I could see out of the corner of what was my 14-year-old son. So I knew, wow, now it's happened to my sons. And, I did a lot of regression work on that and did find out a few more times where they had taken one of my sons. Didn't take the other one, but they did take the one son.
So, Miesha, you said the MK Ultra stuff happens again. What in later life? What experiences did you go through that time?
Well, the My Lab I consider part of the MK Ultra, but the MK Ultra really, I mean, it's like, I don't know if they really took me back to secret space program, and that's why when I was older, I don't know. I'm trying to understand it, because in 2000, I was in the middle. I had my support groups because I started to support my groups in Nevada in 1990, and so I had support groups for men, women, and children. I had support groups for teens because my kids were abducted, and I had My Lab experiencer groups. I had reptilian experiencer groups. I had women's groups, hybrid groups. So, and I had the first children's group that is in the world. Like, from what I understand from Mary Rodwell, she said mine was the first of parents and children who are experiencers. So through this time, some people came to the group that were from California, and I was unaware that they were part of a handler group, shall we say, and they definitely handled me. And it's another long story, which I have in my book, but I end up going to California, leaving this group and with somebody else to handle. And I'm supposed to go there and start this huge organization to reach many, 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 many people. But that's not what they got me there for. Instead, they got me there to try to get me institutionalized. But it didn't work, because the psychiatrist that they had invited to this support group that they were setting me up on, she talked to me and realized that there was nothing, that I wasn't crazy or anything like that. So that didn't happen. So throughout that time, Melinda Leslie, I don't know if you've ever had her on the show, but she and I were working on a book, and it was to be a book called Covert Abduction, Military Harassment and Surveillance, and the Interrogation and Mind Control of not only the abduction, but the government part in it. And so we were writing this book. We had talked to special forces people, all kinds of people from experiences themselves, ex-military, and we were compiling this book together. We were on Art Bell's show, and during Art Bell's show, I started speaking about reptilians, and I got knocked off the air. And so I had to get another phone and get back on the air. And by then I wasn't able to.
What year was that, Miesha, when you were on Art Bell?
I was in 2000. I was like November of 2000, I believe. December of 2000, something like that, just before Art Bell quit. He had George Siegel doing a lot of fill-ins. That's who interviewed us, was George. Anyway, later on that, not that night, but the next night, Melinda was at my house, and we were working on a conference that we speak at. We were tag team conference speakers. And so we were working on a conference and on the book, and went to bed. She slept on my couch. I went, and the next day we woke up, and my coffee table was cracked. And I asked her, what happened to my coffee table? And she said, I don't know what happened. And I said, well, I don't either. And she had to go back to her home, to Laguna. And this was, of course, was in San Diego. And I started feeling really weird. Something was not right. You get this feeling that you know when you've been abducted. And so I went to my therapist, hypnotherapist, and had a session and found out that men in black uniforms, or at least they looked black because it was dark, and helmets with night vision goggles had come and broke into my house. And I actually have the proof of where and how they broke into the front door. They wanted me to know that. I know that. And they had broke in, take me downstairs to a waiting van. And I found out later that she did a hypnosis session and found out the same thing, basically, that they had grabbed her. And when they grabbed her and pulled her across the coffee table, they cracked my coffee table. And in the bus, not bus, did I say bus? I meant in a van. In the van, we were taken to an underground base in San Diego, maybe Pendleton, I'm not sure, and taken deep underground. I had another encounter with another, only this one was a Draco. This one had pointed edges. He had what would have been atrophied wings, I would say, on his back. He had a long tail, and I was being interrogated by the colonel, and he was screaming at me, "You've been told over and over," which I had. It was such a long story. 3 automobile accidents later, many threats to my life and things like that. I was also even had the identity theft done to me. So they had warned me to shut up, and he said, "You've been told over and over to shut up, to stop this, and now you went on this show. This is going to end. There will be no more of this. To prove the point to you how serious I am, I want you to meet somebody." And he struts out, and in walks this Draconian. And Draconian looks into my eyes and puts this imagery in my head where I'm in this holographic room and my family is being killed in front of me. So my family, my kids, my grandkid, and all of that. So I really felt that they were serious. And so after that, I decided to go home and tell the kids I was quitting. On the way home, I was ran off the road by an unmarked van to try, I don't know, take me out, scare me. I don't know. I think it was to take me out, really. And I'm sure it was, because the truck driver said they looked like they did it on purpose, because they said there was this van that comes pulling up in between the trucks up ahead of us. And it stopped. It zoomed by, went in and stopped, and it stayed there and drove in the trucker lane. And he said, when you came by, they came out as if it was on purpose. And I knew it was, of course. So I went home, told the kids I'm quitting, because that was it. So I did. I thought I had quit. I thought it was all over. So for 9 years, I got out of everything, but I didn't get out of everything. That's when they re-upped me for, shall we say, for more of the MK Ultra stuff.
So how long did this last section of MK Ultra stuff last for in your life?
From when I went 2000 to I came back here in 2011. No, excuse me, not 11. That's one bomb passed. I came back here in 2009, and I started my group back in 2011. So 9-10 years almost. Yeah, almost 10 years. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Had the methods that they used in MK Ultra evolved?
Yeah, because the memories were blanked out, not much of anything. I only really knew that anything had happened, and I really don't know to what degree. I don't think at my age I was going to be used as a, because that would have made me, in my 40s, right, late 40s and stuff. So they used me for different things, but I really haven't looked into that yet. It's just way too much to go into. I do know that I do not have altars. My altars are integrated. I do not split back and forth like I used to. I do not do any of that. So how they use me, I'm not 100% sure. I just know that people contacted me on Facebook and said they knew me, and I didn't know them at all. They said that they'd seen me here and there, but I was also told by Randy Kramer that I have clones. So they could have had me asleep and using my clones. I'm not 100% sure. That's why I really don't talk about that part of my life too much, because I don't know.
How did you finally get away from all of this, Miesha?
Just before I left California, I asked my galactics for help, just like I had asked them for help when they sent me Ayano. I asked them, and I ended up in front of a, well, I was to the point that I was either going to go off a cliff or whatever, because I did not want my family to be harmed. And so I was sitting there in the car, and the next thing I know, I am in a room with like 9 or so ETs. Most of them human, a couple of tall whites, even a reptilian, and some energy beings, and then some more like smaller humans. So I'm asking them, please, please, let me come home. I'm done with this place. I can't do this anymore. Let me come home. And because I wanted their permission, basically, and to know that my kids were going to be okay if I left. And so, or if I took myself out, shall we say. And they said, we cannot stop your mission. This is your mission. You asked for this mission. You must complete this mission. What we can do is cut the cords, cancel the contracts. So that's what they did. They helped me cancel all my contracts. And since then that did it. That did it.
Well, congratulations to you for getting to that point, because many people wouldn't have survived. And yeah, we've got loads of viewer questions have come in for you. So do you have time to answer some questions?
Absolutely. I love questions.
All right. So you were getting asked, are there good and bad aliens?
100% there's good and bad aliens.
Which ones would you classify as good and which as bad?
Oh, well, see, and that's an unfortunate thing, because just because they're beautiful doesn't mean they're good. Okay. Just because they're, this Nordic looking, goddess looking, it doesn't mean they're good. There's been some negative ones of those too. So, and just because they're gray doesn't mean they're bad, because there's the Zeta Reticuli, who I believe were the ones that had been doing the contact with me. And yes, I was in a hybrid program, which I didn't have time to go into here, but yes, I was in the hybrid program and was shown like I had 17 hybrid children, and presented with several individual ones. So they, to me, were positive. I didn't feel that they were negative. I didn't feel the Willy one or the BGs, but the draconians and some of the reptiles, not all of them. So I believe that I saw 3 different reptilian types in the underground bases. One that was definitely what I consider a reptoid, maybe a throwback from a raptor kind of thing. Another one that was a reptilian that was a little bit more on the flatter face, more humanoid, more hybrid. And then, of course, the Draco. So I do believe that the Dracos would probably be, and the Archonics, the Archon energies, interdimensional, those are negative. Yeah, you just cannot tell. Just like there's some bad humans and some good humans,
So a viewer wants you to explain what you mean by you had a handler. What does a handler mean?
Okay, throughout my life, I've had every single relationship was a handler. Well, no, with exceptions of one. And then they killed his father to get him away from me. Handlers are somebody who keeps you down. They keep you controlled. They keep you where you're supposed to be. They make sure that you do not thrive, that you do not find out their truths. They usually are abusive, always, almost always. They're usually always narcissists. They control your goings and comings. They're your controllers. And they take you and put you in the places that you need to be for your missions.
All right. The next question is, were you put in a breeding program?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, the breeding program is a hybrid program. But the breeding program is also, I was also used in the underground bases. My genetics, my eggs were used in that breeding program. And I can't say this is for sure, but when I met, the first time I was at a conference, I met super soldiers, and they seemed like my kids. So for some reason or other, some of them just really felt familiar to me. So I do believe some of my genetics are used in the super soldier program, and my genetics were possibly used in the, I don't know if they're going to have a cloning army. I don't know, but I do know they have something going on that they're doing and taking genetics, and they have their own hybrid program.
Why do they kidnap kids if they already are cloning people and they can make kids in a lab?
They don't have the same internal organs. They don't have the soul. Clones don't have a soul. So what the draconians like in the Loosh is that soul, that purity, essence. And they take these kinds of things out of children that would make them human high, and it make a human not age, and make a reptilian also kind of a drug for them as well, of course.
Yeah, so you're saying that, snatching a kid, that kid has got all of the natural qualities they're looking for versus a lab-made kid. I mean, look how much of an investment they'd have to make a lab-made kid when they can just snatch one off the streets.
Exactly.
And the lab-made kid is not going to have that real-world experience and those attributes that they're looking for. All right, so Anne-Marie wants to know, the soul. What was the best piece of advice you've received in your life?
Best piece of advice I've received. Well, that one I'm going to have to think about here. This truth will set you free. I 100% believe that that's why I became a hypnotherapist. That's why I had 18 regressions. I needed to know the truth because I wasn't free without the truth. I needed to know the truth. And once you know the truth, you can clear it, you can release it, you can cut the cords, you can cancel the contracts, which I work with people to do that in the hypnosis sessions, and it will set you free.
All right, next question. Were you controlled by archons?
I have been attacked by archons. In a way, I guess you could say control. There was a time when archons came into my room. I was, I don't know, very young. I don't know, probably 16, 17, 18, something like that. I saw them, and they started pulling me up, and they pulled me through the ceiling, and they looked to me like what you'd call demons. And so they were started to pull me through the ceiling, and I said, By the blood of Jesus, you must release me. And they dropped me. So because I was a minister's daughter, even though he was an MK Ultra, he was a minister, and in that church that I went to, a lot of that MK Ultra stuff was going on there too. But
are you saying the human race are slaves to the aliens?
Only if they allow themselves to be. I believe that we are so much more powerful than them spiritually. We have we are sovereign beings. We have the God source spark in us. They do not. So all they can use is fear, hate, anger. When you can transmute fear, hate, and anger into love energy, into energy even for your enemies, they are no longer as powerful. To this day, I still have occasionally them come in my astral to try, but I know how to stop it. And people can stop it. I teach people how to stop it. So you can stop this. We are not powerless. I guess that's about covers it.
So, with all this amazing power the reptilians and the military have, why haven't they managed to take us over completely by now?
I'm not sure they can live topside. I don't think they can. Because I only see them come in orbs of energies, or energy forms, or I see that we don't see them walking among us unless they're hybrids. So I don't believe that they can take us over. Plus, we have the Galactic Federation that is out there. They are assisting us. They are actually, I do believe, working with parts of our government. I will also say there's different groups like the tall whites, the Nordics, the feline races, other races that are very Arcturians. They're extremely powerful, all within their own abilities and technology and things like that. So we have the good guys on our side, and this planet is what I consider, and I think it is a planet that was a seeding planet, a planet that is supposed to be here. All of our animals and our insects and all the different things. It's an organic living library. We are part of that, and the genetics and the testing and all of that has been going on since the beginning of time. So why did they not ever take over us? I don't believe they can live in ours. However, could they be trying to change our atmosphere? That's possible with all of the chemtrails and all of the weather modifications. I don't know.
Did you meet tall whites?
Not the tall whites that are out at Creech Air Force Base. I did not meet them. I met a tall white with no hair. The tall whites that are out at Creech are more human looking.
Were aliens around since Jesus' time?
Okay, well, I'll just share my belief, just my belief. I believe that many of our masters that have come to our planet, including Jesus, had come from the galactic, through God, through the God source, through the energy, to help us understand that we can do this. Bible says, greater things you will do than I have done. He did miraculous things, and what we would call nowadays a lot of psychic things.
All right. So, next question. Were you able to see these beings' true form because they thought it was buried in an altar and integration reminded you?
It depends on which one he's talking about. Buried in, okay, you were able to see these true form BC through buried in an altar. Well, an altar is a completely different thing than a clone or shape-shifting. So an altar takes over the psyche and splits the psyche so that they can compartmentalize you, so you have many, many different alters, okay? Whereas the clone or a shapeshifter, that would be part of maybe genetics that they've done and changed that. That reptilian has taken over that body and is shape-shifting.
Did they use electric shock on you when making your altars?
A lot. A band around the head quite a few times, especially when I was younger and even into my adult life. Yeah, about and also the soldiers would use prods, the electric prods on us.
Do you know anything about Guantanamo Bay and the cloning center?
No.
How can humans combat this?
Again, realize who you really are. Realize that you're part of the God source, that you're part of the most powerful energy that is there. And you're not alone, so you got to ask for help.
So, Area 51, did that come into your life?
Oh, yeah, Area 51 is where they were taking me while I was here in Vegas.
And can you remember what happened at Area 51?
Oh, that was the ones with the reptilians, where the reptilians, where it was their level, and that I told that whole experience about the reptilians.
You've got a few viewers are asking for the name of your book.
Oh, it's called You Can Handle the Truth. I'm sorry.
And Miesha's website link is in the description box. I'll also put it in the live chat again right now before I go to the next question.
I also have another book. This is the Galactic Planet of Origin book that my Galactics wanted me to put together because they wanted people to realize that they're not just three things: grays, humans, and reptilians, that there's many, many other races.
Nathan wants to know if you've had memories inserted under hypnosis.
No. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that because that's one of the things they do. 100%. That first abduction when I was gone for 7.5 months from the college, that definitely was what they were doing. They were putting the false memories in. So every time I try to remember the truth, the false memory would come through. But when you get into the deep hypnosis theta state, you can find your real answers.
Is MK Ultra happened in Norway and Sweden?
I do not know. I've never lived there. I do know that I had people come to my support group from Norway and Sweden because I have my support groups. They've showed up at.
And wherever there is a government and mainstream media, you know that the population is getting manipulated, whether it's through MK Ultra or some other means. They've probably got some kind of parallel programs in Norway and Sweden, I would imagine. So is this why they are altering our terrain and contaminating our atmosphere?
Part of it, I believe, yes.
What do they think about the wars and the children that are suffering?
Well, my opinion is, and I've heard it from other people too, I've heard it from soldiers, that they felt that they were really getting off on the loose. So suffering, wars, disasters, I do believe that's why a lot of the disasters are happening, because they receive all that powerful loosh from the people in such dire, pain and agony and things like that.
The things that horrify us that they get off on.
Yeah.
So you've had several people ask for your thoughts on the work of David Icke, who we had on the channel last week, because he's talked about many of the things you've talked about, Miesha. And have you reviewed his work or collaborated with him?
I've never collaborated with him. I would have been happy to do that. In fact, I did meet him. He, of course, would never remember, but he was at a small conference, and I don't even remember the state. Could have been California. And I met him and Arizona Wild Air and some of the others. And he had us come to dinner afterwards, and we were talking about all of our experiences. So I did meet him then. I do believe that he is a wonderful whistleblower about the reptilians and the draconians.
Yeah, we took him to a pub, and this was during the pandemic, and we had to sneak him in the back through the beer garden because he wouldn't wear a mask.
Oh, that would be him. Yeah.
Do you think Stanley Kubrick was murdered?
Yes, I do believe it was because of Eyes Wide Shut, because he was. There's some uncut versions out there that were the original that didn't make it to the final cut.
Why don't aliens use their technology to give us medicine and cures for diseases?
Okay, that's non-interference. I do believe non-interference is the biggest reason. Not to mention, the dark agendas have stopped it in everything. They've taken out doctors, they've taken out people who've developed these things. There's a lot I could say about that one, but definitely I do believe that we're being stopped, by the dark agenda.
Is Trump being influenced by aliens and such?
I don't know. I don't know. I hope he's bit by the Galactics. I wouldn't be a bit surprised because, he's escaped a lot of attempts on his life.
What is the fate of alters insofar as their occupancy and agency within one's mind-body consciousness? Are they ultimately banished, or are they afforded any right or claim to exist?
That's an interesting question.
Isn't it?
Yes, I do like that. Okay, so when I'm just going to go on when I'm working with people in hypnosis, when we're working on getting alters out, it is a communication that starts with the alter. And I see if the alter, and of course, the alter is the person talking through. Okay. So I see the alter, I see where they're coming from. I see their emotion. I always ask them when they were born. Most of the time they're born as children of that person. They were born as an alter when that person was a child, of course. And so, they get to a point where they want help so badly. They do want to help so badly. To me, the alters that want to be autonomous have got some secret agenda. If all the alters ultimately always want to integrate and become all of you. Now, interestingly enough, and in my case, that was the case, I was a total introvert my entire life. So when my alters were integrated, that really, really introverted Miesha left. She was kind of, shall we say, all of the alters came together to make a stronger front. So, because you've got to have the strongest front to fight what they do. I hope that made sense.
Yeah.
Did it? Okay.
I think you have answered all of the questions, Miesha. Is there
Okay.
anything you would like to say in conclusion to the viewers?
Yeah, I would like to tell them about my support groups. So my biggest mission is to help people find out about their experiences. So, of course, hypnosis is a very big mission for me as well. But my biggest mission is to spread out throughout the entire world support groups. Like I said, I've been doing it for 12 years. I have 3 groups a week. And if I could just kind of briefly go over some of the groups. So I have a group that is for hybrids. I have a group, and I have Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. I try to have 6 early groups so that I can have European people join. So that start at 12 o'clock. And then I have 6 groups that start later for more of the American timelines. And so I have a targeted individual, and I do want to talk just a little bit about targeting. I have a couple of ET experiencer types, one reptilian and gray one. I have a next generation millennials and Gen Z group. I have that's taught by, or I should say, facilitated by a millennial. I have a vets for military vets and all the things that happen via the alphabet agencies and the aliens and such during wars, and that's Vietnam, and that's also Desert Storm and all the other ones. I have a twin flame soulmates, trauma bonding. I have my lab and deep underground military base. I have MK Ultra and secret space program. I have secret SRA, satanic ritual abuse, and all of the other things, including trafficking of all ages of people. And we go through that because trafficking has been going on for much longer than what we think. Yeah. Oh, and then I have a galactic group for people to come and be able to connect. I help them to activate their galactics, their planets of origin, so that they can be on a personal relationship with their galactics. So, wanting to go back to the target, a big part of when I do conferences and stuff is I talk to people about what they're doing. So, part of the different ways that they wanted to do to take over people is by the targeting. Targeting is voice to skull, psychotronic warfare, transhumanism, the AI and all of that. So it's all combined together so that people who are hybrids themselves, because a lot of people have come on this planet as a mission. I consider them a starseed hybrid. Their genetics might not be all human. Maybe some of them are starseeds and they are human, but they're here on a mission to wake up the consciousness. And that's the other thing that is helping. Once we can tip that scale on the consciousness, we can win and we can beat them 100%. So as the targeting goes, I have 2 targeting groups, one in Sundays and one on a Thursday, the last Thursday of the month. And it's so, and we talk about it throughout all the rest of the groups because targeting is so.
Miesha, this has been absolutely fascinating. There's so much. I'm going to have to watch it again just to absorb it. And I've learned so much speaking to you. And we salute your bravery. I'm putting the website link in the live chat again. If you're watching on replay, please support Miesha's important work. So huge thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
If there's anyone you're working with who wants to come on and tell their stories as well, please let them know. We would love that. And I'm going to let you go. I know you're a busy person. I'm going to let you go and I'm going to close the show. So you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Oh, can I say that I'm going to ask Olivia James is an amazing person. I've worked with her a lot in hypnosis, and she and I uncovered Project Oblivion, which was the project of this targeting. So
Yeah, well,
so
we'd
people
love
might
to
hear
speak.
that name. That's where it came from during a hypnosis session I was doing with her. We found out about it. So, yeah, I'll give you some names.
Yes,
Thank you
please do.
so much, John, for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming on. You take care and have a great rest of your day. Cheers, Miesha. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Phenomenal guest, folks. Absolutely fascinating. Mind blowing story. Again, here's the link for the website. Check that out. It's in the live chat. I could see that was nothing but love and respect. And thank you for all your questions as well. Just to let, let you know what else we got coming up. So, Shane has got the Clark Frederick story booked in, and he unalived his abuser. So that's going to be harrowing. And I do believe that's coming on Monday at 10 p.m. UK. And then he's also got coming on the forensic breakdown with Dr. Garrison, inside Epstein's prison cell. So that will be coming earlier in the week as well. And if you missed Lauren's episode 4 of the Elite Network Exposed that was before this show this evening, check that one out. She had Ed Opperman on as a guest. He's really tuned in. And that one just went live just over an hour ago. So my mum and dad are down for the weekend. I'm going to go and chill out with them right now. So wherever you are in the world, thanks for tuning in, and hope to see some of you guys in the next one. And take